check out this hand that I played with 5-10 of hearts. Shout out to my main man, Eric L, for enlightening me that 5-10 is the only hand you can play where you can hit any straight in the game. So that's kind of cool. We limp behind on the button, and we're playing a family pot, and it decided to be a great filming idea for me to have my arm in half the frame, like the whole hand. So, nothing really interesting happens. We just, flop some backdoor draws, turn one step closer to Broadway and to hearts. So we bet with our backdoor combo draw here on the turn and take it down. So we're going to jump into the good vlogging seat, and we're going to start the session for real. Oh, wow, you guys can't see that at all. Hold on, let me fix the lighting on that. How's that movie magic? We're here in DeLand, Volusia County, at the Volusia County Courthouse. There's a nice DeLand shopping mall, or it's like a shopping kind of, what do you call that? The DeLand Marketplace. That's where we are. That's the name of the game. Let's get right into it, buying and selling. All right, so we get moved into the vlogger seat 4, so we can get the whole board in the frame, and we're dealt pocket 8s out of the gun, and we make it 30 to go. We get 2 callers and a nice diverse set of players. We get the player playing pretty much any 2 cards, and a more conservative player. So we're going 3 ways to a flop, which comes pretty good for our range at least. Comes ace, queen, 10, all clubs. I really feel like, in my opinion, we're only against like 1 player here, since against this kind of board texture, the player playing any 2 cards should be folding a lot here. So I decided to pump the variance and bet 60. As expected, the first player folds, and the more conservative player makes the call. So when the turn comes the deuce of clubs, feeling kind of done with this hand at this point. We've got the 8 high flush, which, it is what it is. So we check to our opponent, he checks back, and the river is a good or bad card depending on how you look at it. It's an offsuit queen. So again, feeling done, we check, and he checks back pretty quickly. Announces no club, which is music to our ears. We turn over our hand, and we are good. And he actually shows us King Jack offsuit for the flop Broadway. So we really suck out on his nuts there, huh? Wow, what a crazy hand. All right, let's try out a real hand. We've got big slip. We got ace king offsuit in middle position, facing the player that we just played in the previous hand, who just rips his stack in there. For he was short stacked, he had like 40 bucks, so whatever. We 3-bet of ace king. We get everybody else to fold. We go to a run out. He's got king jack off. We got him dominated, and he flops a jack, and we don't improve. So ace king sucks. Okay, so the very next shuffle, all right, the same player rips his stack again, and what do we find ourselves with? That's right, ace king suited this time. In the same situation, we're getting a rebate from last hand. We of course make the call with ace king, and this player has pocket 6s, is actually ahead, and we're off to the races, and we don't improve. So that's 0 for 2 with ace king. Luckily, we didn't lose a whole lot since he was pretty short stacked, but let's try some different kind of cards, huh? How about that? All right, let's try a different suited ace this time. We've got ace 10 of clubs, the middle position facing a relatively early position open. This player just sat down, so I want to tango and isolate. We take the high variance route, 3-bet to 55. Folds to the player who is we donated to with the ace king hands, and he makes the cold call in the small blind for 55 and the initial razor call. So we're going 3 ways to a 3-bet pot in position that comes 9, 10, 3. Pretty decent. I mean, we got top in a 3-bet pot. I mean, what more could you really ask for? It checks to us, and we decide to c-bet 60 here. In hindsight, don't really like this bet because our hand can be very easily downgraded on future streets, and it really needs protection. Both players make the call, so we're going 3 ways to a turn, which becomes a great card for our range. Comes an offsuit king. Small blind disagrees that it's a good card for us though, and just rips his stack for 150. So not really feeling great about that, but what we're really not feeling great about is when the other player in the hand just flats the 150 with about 400-ish behind. And, in this situation, the raise call from early position really feels like jacks, or maybe even 9-10 suited sometimes. And, maybe those hands are going to be raising or just trying to stay in to entice me to stay in, but I really don't feel like I'm ahead a lot. I mean, like, maybe sometimes I can call the rip if the other player folds, but when the other player just flats, I feel like that's just way too strong. So eventually I reluctantly make the fold, and I'm instantly punished when the offsuit ace rolls off on the river, and the small blind turns over king jack offsuit for the turn top pair, and then the other player turns over ace deuce suited for the nut flush draw and the rivered higher top pair. So yeah. Alright, enough with this ace nonsense. No more premiums, okay? Shout out to my main man Mike G, looking it down at the king 4 of clubs. No, it's not the king 4 of clubs. Cut the tape. It's the king 4 of hearts. That's right. We've got the legendary king 4 of hearts, and we're out for blood, okay? We limp behind on the button, kinda tilted, and we're going multi-way to a flop. But that's fine, because we got the legendary king 4 of hearts, baby. Let's go. Flop comes ace, queen, jack. We got a gutter ball. That's all we need. Checks to us. We bet a big $10. And what do you know? Everybody else folds. And that's how you do it with the king 4 of hearts, baby. Push that $11, $12 pot towards us. Big pots at the Daytona Beach Racing and Car Club only. Let's keep it moving. All right, coming back at you guys with another legit button review. We've got 6-4 of hearts facing a cutoff limp. We make it 25. Getting in the mix with all sorts of hands this time. I love it. Big blind makes the call and the cutoff makes the call. So we're going 3 ways to a flop. It comes king, 9, deuce, 1 heart. It checks to us, and I decide to take advantage of something that we like to call image advantage, where we've shown ace king like twice already. So we should have this board a lot of the time. What am I kidding? We've got the backdoor draws. You kidding? We got backdoor hearts. The deuce of hearts gives us the backdoor straight draw. So like, yeah, we're gonna bet here. We see bet 50, really making the money moves. Both players fold. We get another small pot push towards us. So I'm talking about making those money moves. Let's keep getting it. All right, let's relax a bit and have an actual chat here, okay? We're gonna try ace king one more time on this vlog. We got ace king in middle position, facing multiple limpers. We decided to make it 40. Trying to get to heads up, and we get exactly what you want with ace king in this spot. That's a lie. We get 4 callers, so we're going 5 ways to a flop with big slick in middle position. That comes ace queen 4, and in this spot it checks to the big blind, who decides to lead into the field for 110. Folds to us, and you know, I really, to this day, still never really understand what the donk means in these like live games, you know, and you know, I didn't come to flop an ace with ace king and fold, so we make the call for 110, treading lightly. It folds back around, so it's actually now heads up going into a turn, which is another queen, which is a good or bad card depending on how you look at it. You know, I feel like a good donk in a lot of spots should be when you have a strong hand on a board that favors the range of your opponent. So like a good donk hand on the flop, I guess, would be like ace queens, sometimes maybe queens, and rarely 4s. So the queen on the turn eliminates a lot of those hands, but that doesn't really change our opponent's decision. He leads again for another 110, and certainly not going to fold ace king to this price, so we make the call. The river is about the biggest blank that it could be, and our opponent finally slows down and checks. And I feel like in this spot, we definitely have the best hand and could bet for some thin value, but I feel like, you know, against this splashy player, you know, they might have some queens that are trapping. So I pretty much snap check it back, and we show our ace king, and we're good in a pretty massive pot. So that's a pretty good feeling. Our opponent claims to have had ace jack, so we are pretty happy to take this decently sized pot down. Okay, no more aces the rest of the video. We find ourselves in early position with pocket 10s facing a button straddle and a limp, and we make it 60. The audio from this hand didn't turn out that great due to the wind, so I'm just going to dub over it and give you guys some nice background scenery. Back to the hand, we only get the player from the previous hand to make the call, as the rest of the players and limpers fold. We managed to force the heads up against the player at the table, giving the most action, and we couldn't ask for more. Heads up out of position to a flop that comes 9-7-3, 2 diamonds. Still feeling good to have an overpair of pocket 10s, we down bet to 50. Our opponent thinks for a bit, and then makes the call with a single black chip. This player could have a wide variety of hands, and we're really hoping that the board doesn't connect anymore. Well, sadly, we don't really get that wish, as the turn comes the 4 of diamonds. The front door flush comes in, and I suppose 5-6 makes a straight. Trying to appear unfazed by the board changing texture, we continue pushing for 125. Again, our opponent calls. We're hoping for a big brick on this river, and we really don't get it, as the river is an offsuit 6, connecting the board even further. Despite that, it's hard to imagine that our opponent has many 5s in this spot. I'm not really sure what to do, so I decide to check, and our opponent snap checks back and announces a 9. That's no good, sir. Our overpair is still good. Glad to have been able to hold out. Alright, for the final hand we're going to talk about this session, we look down at 5-7 of clubs on the button, facing an early position raise from the player we just played in the previous 2 hands, who's out for revenge. He raises to 30, we decide to make the call, trying to play as many hands against this player as we can, although that might not be a good strategy, but who is to say? Folds back around, we're going heads up in position against the splashiest player at the table to a flop that comes 5-7 deuce. We flop two pair on a really dry, unconnected board, feeling absolutely amazing about our hand. Even better, that player continues for $40, and in this spot, I think that you should just be calling a lot of the time so that you can balance your calling with some of your draws and some of your weaker hands. But in this specific situation, I've got a good hand, and I know that this player is going to stack off with a lot of marginal hands, so I want to get the money in and build a bigger pot. I raised to 130. My analysis of the situation was correct, that he will stack off marginally, and he makes the call. Heads up to a turn, which comes a jack. Doesn't really change the board much, although I guess we lose to jacks and jack 7 now, but I don't really expect him to have that too often. Maybe jacks, but I mean, that'd be a pretty sick cooler, right? He thinks for a little bit and then checks, and we continue firing, and we bet 125 or 150. I don't remember. One of the two. I'll put it in the video. We bet 150. Our opponent thinks for a little bit and then ends up calling. So we're going heads up into a final card, which is an okay card. It's an offsuit 6. There's no flush on the board, but I guess 3-4 makes a straight. And our opponent does something very interesting. They donk jam their entire stack of 678 right into us. And in this situation, I really have no idea what to do. I mean, when you're faced with a situation of someone making a 135 big blind bet into you after you've shown aggression the whole hand on a really disconnected river that should, on a whole board that should favor your range, I think that it's just so strong. I don't know if we can call here with 2 pair. I mean, like, what's he representing? What, you know, to beat our this, you know, I'm just babbling. I feel like this is so strong. Eventually, I reluctantly let it go, and I fold. So, not sure what to do. Let me know what you think in the comments. We rack up not too long after that, book a $250 win over the course of a 5-hour session, which comes out to about $50 and exactly $50 an hour, or 10 big blinds per hour. And hey, we'll take it. Pretty good session to me. That's been it for this vlog, guys. Thank you so much hanging around with me in the city of DeLand in Volusia County. Really appreciate everyone's support and everyone's love. And remember, keep your body healthy, keep your mind healthy. This is Runner Poker. Have a good one.